Hello, my diamonds, my TikTokers, and my Teletubbies. Can you get a sexually transmitted infection from oral sex? Now, you have a lot of people who they don't have a problem playing Russian roulette when it comes to oral sex because they're not aware of all the STDs that you can contract from oral sex. Let me just share this with you.
Get an infection from oral sex. A man wants to know if you can get a sexually transmitted infection. A man wants to know if you can get a sexually transmitted infection from oral sex.
This is a really good question, since oral sex is commonly practiced by sexually active adults. It's practiced in more than 85% of sexually active adults and 40% of sexually active teenagers. Many sexually transmitted infections can be spread through oral sex. Anyone exposed to an infected partner can get an STI in the mouth, throat, genitals, or rectum. The risk of getting an STI or spreading STIs to others through oral sex can depend on several things, including the particular sexually transmitted infection, the type of sex you're having, and the number of sex acts performed. It is possible to get an STI in the mouth or throat after giving oral sex to a partner who has an STI. And it's also possible to get certain STIs on the genitals and anal areas after receiving oral sex from a partner who has a mouth infection. It is even possible to have an STI in more than one area at the same time. And several STIs, such as syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia, that are transmitted through oral sex can spread in the body. Oral sex involving the anus can also transmit Hep A and Hep B and transmit bacterial infections like E. coli.
So you see there, darlings, you have to make sure that if you're going to engage in that type of sexual activity, it's imperative that you make your partner put on condoms. Why do you think they have oral condoms? They have grape, chocolate. Like I told you, I was never one to operate that way. I'm not going to let nobody, as far as this is my feeling, turn my mouth into your personal toilet bowl. That's not happening. You want to go from A to Z, brother, you will be, where's that grape? Where's that chocolate or strawberry? Yeah, that's the way that goes. Now, you have a lot of these men who they go out there with these sex workers and they feel that they're not going to contract anything if they just have oral sex performed on them. And when you listen to these sex workers, they will tell you majority of these men do not want to use a condom. They do not want it. They will pay these workers extra money to bareback it, to go raw. And then he goes home to his wife. There you have it. I told you my sister-in-law, I said it in several videos, he gave my sister-in-law AIDS. AIDS, honey. Early 80s. You remember when they only had AZT? She got that from her husband. Who knew? He was out there sleeping around with prostitutes, probably men too. And she was none the wiser. She was the type who said, I don't care what he does out there as long as he treat me right. As long as he treat me right. You know, you have women who feel that I have a good man because he's paying some bills and he won't leave me. He should have left her. She would have been alive today. As long as he's paying some bills and he won't leave me, I got myself a good marriage. I got a good man. Honey, please. Let me share this other video with you so you can hopefully take it seriously, how important it is for you to protect yourself at all times.
It may not cause pregnancy, but how safe is it when it comes to sexual oral sex? It may not cause pregnancy, but how safe is it when it comes to sexually transmitted infections, or STDs? Can you get an STD from giving or receiving oral, and what do you need to look out for? Stick around to listen and learn.
Yes, honey.
Hi guys, I'm Lane, your friendly doctor on demand from Down Under, here for fun and factual health education. So, can you get an STD from oral sex? Short answer, yes you can. And in this video, I'm going to tell you how, but also what you can do to give yourself the best protection against an infection. Sexually transmitted infections, or STIs, are caused by microscopic organisms such as viruses or bacteria. The way they cause an infection is they first get into our body, then they evade our immune system and reproduce in the millions. How does this work when it comes to oral sex? It can happen a few ways. The first is through the skin. You see, some organisms, such as the herpes simplex virus, HSV, or human papillomavirus, HPV, can both be present in skin cells without showing any symptoms. So how do they transmit from skin to skin? Well, the first thing is through shedding. Now, we can't see it with the naked eye, but on a microscopic level, our skin is constantly shedding as old cells make way for new cells. So if there's a virus living in any of those cells, it can shed too. And what can increase that shedding and contact? Friction, such as rubbing of the skin, which happens in oral sex. Use your imagination. The second way an organism can transmit from person to person is through body fluids or secretion. For example, things like mucus or semen. Organisms like chlamydia and gonorrhea are both transmitted in this way. So if someone with chlamydia or gonorrhea receives oral sex, the person going down on them can get chlamydia and gonorrhea in their mouth. Hello. This then lays dormant in the throat without causing any symptoms. But if that person then goes and performs oral sex on someone else, it can transmit to the next person, and so on. And the final way organisms transfer from person to person is through the bloodstream. How do two people have blood-to-blood contact? Well, it could be through things like sharing needles or anal sex, where you often get some rectal trauma. Two organisms that can be spread this way is HIV or hepatitis C. But thankfully, the risk of blood-to-blood transmission in oral sex is extremely low. In fact, the person would probably have to have an open wound in their mouth, like an ulcer or a dental infection. So all in all, how risky is oral sex? Well,
but you notice he said it may be extremely low when it comes to HIV and certain things. Low. But that don't mean that it's not possible to happen. So if you want to continue to keep playing Russian roulette, go right ahead. I'm sharing this with you for a reason.
In most situations, oral sex is considered to be a low-risk sexual activity. But this doesn't mean we shouldn't be careful. So here are a few things you can do to give yourself the best possible protection. Number one, maintain good oral hygiene. That's right, have that yearly checkup with a dentist to have a look at your teeth, gums, inside your mouth. This is the best way to make sure everything's healthy, and if there is a problem, you can discuss it and find out the best way to treat it. Number two, if you are having sex with more than one person, consider having an STI check. They're so easy, and you should be able to get them through your GP or even a sexual health clinic. And finally, if you ultimately want to reduce the risk of an STI, whether it's in your mouth or elsewhere, condoms are your friend. Condoms create that physical barrier, not only separating the skin, but keeping all fluids and bloods separate. Now, if you haven't seen my video...
There you go, honey, condoms. And you know these men ain't using no condoms when it comes to oral sex. No. Go on soft white underbelly typing prostitutes. They'll tell you what's going on behind closed doors. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that to your attention when it comes to these STDs. STD, Satan the devil. STD, sexually transmitted disease. I just thought it was interesting when you look at the acronyms for STD, Satan the devil. Interesting. Anyway, I wanted to bring that to your attention because I was looking at some videos with teenagers. And these teenagers felt that they can't contract any STDs or STIs when it comes to oral sex, and that oral sex is safe. No, sweetheart. Anyway, be careful out there. Twinkle, twinkle, twinkle.